the question, is the U.S. failing women? This is actually not my question. This question was the title to a commentary that was written by 3 authors in Australia. They had reviewed an article looking at the pregnancy risk and pregnancy complications for women in the U.S. over a 30-year period from 1989 to 2018. And they saw that the risk factors and the complications were increasing. And their question was, unless something is done about it, then the U.S. clearly is failing women. So I like to talk about that a little bit because, as it turns out, this week, April 11th through April 17th, is Black Maternal Health Week. And we'll get into that a little bit later in the slide. All right, so a picture is worth 1,000 words. This is a representation of the maternal mortality rates in a number of countries taken from approximately 2018. And we should start by defining what is a maternal mortality ratio. Basically, it is the number of maternal deaths per 100,000 live births. And these deaths can occur during the pregnancy or within 42 days of the termination of the pregnancy, not due to an accident or an incidental cause. For example, if a pregnant woman were to die as a result of a car accident, that would not be considered a maternal death per se. But if she died as a result of preeclampsia or toxemia of pregnancy, then that would be included in this number. As I stated before, Black Maternal Health Week was first recognized by the White House last year in 2021, and I will talk about why that is so important in a little bit. But just looking at this graph, we see that when the United States is compared to other developed countries, we see that we're outstanding. We're outstanding in the fact that we have the highest maternal mortality rate of developed countries. And this is just a consideration. This is looking at something that's slightly different. It's looking at the number of weeks of paid maternity leave in a number of countries. And again, what's striking is that the United States is outstanding in that we don't have a national paid maternity leave policy. Maternity leave is either provided by the state or individual employers. And the reality is that a substantial number of women who are employed do not get paid maternity leave. And then just to look at the other extreme, in a place such as Norway, where there are 91 weeks of paid maternity leave, this doesn't mean that she is getting 100% for 91 weeks. She's getting some sort of pay. It's usually a small percentage as the time goes by, reduced eventually to something about 30% of what her pay would be if she chooses to extend it beyond a certain period of time. The point being that even though it is not equivalent to what she might be making, at least she's getting some sort of financial subsidy, some sort of help while she's caring for her newborn. Speaking of work, we need to recognize that at least in the US, women are actually in the workforce. our numbers almost approximate that of men. And you can see that this phenomena is relatively new. If you look at this particular graph, it shows you that the increase in female labor force really didn't start to go up until the second half of the 20th century. And then this is a breakdown according to race and ethnicity. And the women that are most prominent in the female labor force are Black women, which is interesting because we know from other statistics that women do not make as much as men as a general rule. It's said that for every dollar a man earns, a woman earns about 83 cents. And for a Black woman, that's even less. That's closer to 60 some cents. And this is important as we tie it back into maternal morbidity and mortality. And that's what I'm going to try to do as we go along. This is taking a closer look at the US maternal mortality rate over 3-year periods, beginning with 2018, ending 2019. 2018, this is the overall 17.4 maternal deaths per 100,000 live births. 2018, 2019, and you can see the rate is going up. The color bars show you based on race. And what's again outstanding is that Black women, non-Hispanic Black women, have a rate that's multiple times that of white, non-Hispanic white women. I live in Philadelphia. Philadelphia is a large city, about 1.6 million persons. And in Philadelphia in 2018, instead of having MMR of 17.4, our rate was 20 maternal deaths per 100 live births. When they looked at etiology for that, almost half, 46% of these maternal deaths were due to cardiomyopathies or problem with the heart or the vascular system. It showed that in Philadelphia, non-Hispanic Black women made up 43% of the births. However, they accounted for 73% of the pregnancy-related deaths. This striking disparity is part of the reason why people are becoming acutely aware that there is a problem, because it doesn't appear to be limited to socioeconomics. A college-educated Black woman has a higher risk of maternal mortality than a non-Hispanic white woman who has graduated high school. So there is no obvious explanation for this. And because of that, it's drawn a lot of attention. And we recognize that there are problems that have either yet to be identified, clearly identified, or they're problems that we are just not addressing. Now, before I go on, I have to say that this slide is lacking in the fact that it doesn't show the maternal mortality rate for Asian women. And we know that Asian American women, Pacific Islanders are the fastest growing racial group in the United States. And I'm torn between which is worse, to have the worst statistics or to not be mentioned at all. And I kind of side towards the worst statistics, because from the limited information that we do have, we see that the maternal mortality rate for Asian American women is not significantly higher than what you might see for non-Hispanic whites, although the reasons may differ. And so again, this is just another area where we need to recognize that there are healthcare disparities, not only involving African American women, but Asian women, Native American women, and we need to evaluate all. The reason that I am focusing on non-Hispanic Black women is because the disparity is so large. And of course, I am a Black woman and I have an intimate interest in learning why. I need to say on a personal note that just last week, a young woman was in the office and she said that she wanted to get pregnant, but she wasn't ready to die. And I thought that was such a sad statement. And I should also say that this was not a Black woman. This was an Asian woman saying that she had fear concerning becoming pregnancy and actually had a real fear about dying, which just tells me that there's work to be done. We clearly need to do more.